It has been 10 years exactly today since the premiere of the movie Lemonade Mouth on Disney Channel, and it's also been about 10 years since I have been reviewing television shows and movies on YouTube, with my first review I ever made being for this movie. So, for this double anniversary, today we are going to be looking back at the movie Lemonade Mouth in this special re-review. We'll be looking at what still works with the movie, what doesn't hold up as well now, and examine its underrated impact that it had on getting the ball rolling for better quality family television, along with its impact on this reviewer specifically. Now, for this review, I'm not going to look back at this movie one major plot point at a time like I do for other things I review, but more like this is going to be a general review, or a general look back at many of the pieces of this movie, just saying now. And so, let's begin this look back. Now, I know Lemonade Mouth over the years has kind of turned into this movie that people have referred to and picked apart and made fun of, referring to it as this G-rated version of The Breakfast Club, but here's one of the things that people forget about when they review this now. Lemonade Mouth was definitely something different for family television back in 2011. You see, back in 2011, Disney Channel, along with other networks that focused on programming for younger audiences, was not getting a good rap. Yeah, sure, Disney Channel still had Phineas and Ferb, which was a big hit, but it wasn't really doing anything new that was putting them on the map. And more importantly, they weren't really doing anything that spoke to the issues that young viewers were dealing with at the time. But then came Lemonade Mouth, which in the span of just over 100 minutes, tackled more social issues than any family programs were tackling at the time. Now yeah, you had the character who was the child of an immigrant family and two teenagers who couldn't live up to their family expectations, but at the same time, we also had a character whose father was dating a much younger woman, kind of a touchy subject for any audience, and we had another character whose father was in prison, a subject that I don't think any Disney show has had a lead character ever deal with before or even since. Most young audience members could relate to these characters in some way, and it's easy to see that young viewers who did have parents who were incarcerated and did have parents who were getting remarried could really latch onto these characters. But something that most young audience members watching that they could relate to here was a feeling of being underappreciated. Now yeah, the main plot of this movie is kinda cliche. In the story, the principal only cares about the school's sports stars and has to cut funding and doesn't care about any other school programs. But the thing is, as cliche as it sounds, this is based in reality. I mean, think about it. What gets the biggest ratings on TV still? Sports games. American society is very much focused on sports and its sports-related programs that can often provide the biggest sources of outside revenue to schools. So while the way the school principal in this movie is portrayed is very over-the-top and cliche at times, the general choices he makes, though, do feel like things that many school administrators out there would do in terms of how they treat their students. Again, going back to themes young audiences can relate to. Now, the main part of the movie is how our main young characters start a band, and they of course sound freaking perfect from the get-go. And yeah, it's kinda cliche, but I'll defend it. When I first saw this movie, I did know several musically gifted individuals, and I did see a few of them one day that when they barely knew each other, just start jamming and they sounded amazing. So even though the first musical scene in the movie feels cliche, I have seen this kind of spontaneous music happen. It's rare, but it can happen. Plus, the characters aren't really doing any complex choreography in the movie, they just feel like teenagers just naturally moving the way they want to. And yeah, let's talk about the music in this movie. Now yeah, some songs in the movie's soundtrack are better than others. Don't lie, you skipped over at least one or two songs last time you put the soundtrack on. And yeah, it does have that general Disney pop kind of flavor to it, but all in all, these are pretty solid pieces of music. Turn Up the Music is a nice opening song, Somebody has some great lyrics and vocals, and Determinate is still freaking awesome. And yeah, all the other songs hold up too, even the two songs by the rival band kind of work. Yeah, the songs at first you kinda despise, but if you actually listen to how egocentric and how full of themselves these guys sound via their lyrics, you almost have to respect at how much these guys wear their narcissism with pride. They're goofy and over the top, and definitely not the most realistic bullies out there, but they do kind of work in a comedic way, even though they are just one-note antagonists to the plot. But yeah, now let's move on to what's not the best with this movie. Now yeah, many Disney movies, especially Disney Channel movies, throw some wrench in the protagonist's plan 2/3 of the way through in order to give them one more obstacle to face before the movie's climax. But in Lemonade Mouth, they throw way too many obstacles out of freaking nowhere at the main characters. Suddenly, without warning, one character's eye gets hurt, another just gets his fingers hurt out of nowhere suddenly, and then they all get arrested because they suddenly get way too upset with the school's lemonade vending machine getting taken away. And yeah, I get the whole Lemonade Matters thing is meant to parallel with how all kinds of lives matter, but I don't know, it gets kind of lost near the end. In fact, let's talk about the very end. The band, which is not in the best of shape to perform, just bombs in front of this audience at this music competition. But fortunately, all of the many people they have affected in this movie stand up and sing with them. It's actually a very well done and mature moment, showing young viewers that while you may fail in life, you can still make a positive impact in the world. But then suddenly it cuts to them performing to a sold-out crowd at Madison Square Garden. Well, how the heck did that happen? Yeah, this is a feel-good emotional ending as it shows the band being where you want them to be, but still, they never even explain how they made this jump to fame. And Disney said they couldn't come up with a sequel to this movie. Hey, telling us how they got this famous, that could have been a sequel! So yeah, I'll admit, Lemonade Mouth in its last third is not perfect, but the first 2/3 are pretty solid still. But with that being said, there are still some great moments in the last third, such as the scene featuring Wen saying about how his family the way it is now is not perfect, but it's okay. And that was a good way to parallel with this movie in general. You don't need a movie to be perfect to be good. And that's honestly what a lot of people thought about Lemonade Mouth at the time. It had its issues, but it really spoke to the generation of that era with all of its social commentary. And it must have inspired Disney Channel to want to do something else like it, because literally a year later, they got the ball rolling on Girl Meets World, a television program that, once it premiered, tackled all sorts of many other social issues young people and their families could relate to. And while sadly the majority of Disney shows that came after did not follow Lemonade Mouth and Girl Meets World example, we still got some great other shows and movies that did tackle even more important social issues, such as The Swap, Andy Mack, and Disney's most recent hit, Sydney to the Max, all of which have tackled their fair share of many relatable social issues through well-done family-friendly stories. Lemonade Mouth may have even helped raise the bar for other studios, as it was only after this movie came out that we started to see many other great family-friendly shows that had complex social issues and storylines, such as Amazon's Gordimer Gibbon's Life on Normal Street and Just That Magic. So, while better family-friendly television programs have come out since Lemonade Mouth, it's easy to claim this movie got the ball rolling on people demanding for some better quality material in the family-friendly market over the next 10 years. And speaking of 10 years, yes, it has been quite a ride doing video reviews on YouTube for the last 10 years. When I made my first review for Lemonade Mouth all those many years ago, I was not trying to become some well-known internet critic. Ironically, when the movie came out, no one made a video review for it at all, versus now when there are actually plenty of reviews for it. Honestly, I just wanted to build up some hype for this movie by making a video review for it, and more just eventually came out of me later as time went on. But yeah, when I made the first Lemonade Mouth review for my channel, I did not want to gain tons of subscribers or fans. I just wanted people to know about this cool movie that I liked. But yeah, it started to turn into a crazy journey as I kept making more video reviews over the years. At first, I just reviewed stuff that I simply liked talking about with no theme linking them at all together. But after I started doing Girl Meets World reviews on my blog, which then turned into video reviews on YouTube, which got tons of views, I guess I kind of evolved into the guy that reviews lots of family-friendly TV shows and movies. Not that I completely liked that label at times. Back when my channel was starting to get almost 100,000 views a week thanks to my Girl Meets World and Andy Mack reviews being so darn popular, I spent a summer trying to do video reviews as a part-time job and focused on reviewing just what people requested that I reviewed. And man, did that turn out to be horrible. Since I did reviews for Disney Channel shows that I liked, people asked me to review Disney Channel shows they liked, both old and new. But when I gave some negative reviews, oh man, did the hate come down. People sent me more threats than I could count with vows to ruin my life, and yeah, it was a real low point. And YouTube sure wasn't helping either, especially since back in the day, fighting back against someone that claimed you violated content violation rules was near impossible, and I had not one, not two, but 4 previous YouTube channels that hosted my video reviews get taken down. But fortunately, YouTube in recent years has gotten easier to deal with, and comments below my videos have been filled with a lot less hate now. Even though I still get people complaining, thinking I'm either too liberal or too conservative. Seriously, people, you ever heard of being moderates? And also, I found much more enjoyment from reviewing things that I simply like, regardless of how many views those videos get. And that brings us back to Lemonade Mouth. Like I said, when I first reviewed it, I wasn't trying to become something big. I was just putting a spotlight on something I liked. And when I think back, that's when I was happiest making these reviews. Not when I was reviewing stuff people requested I reviewed, but when I was reviewing stuff I just wanted to support. And maybe that's a good lesson to share with anyone trying to make their own stuff online. For anyone that wants to do this kind of thing, don't make content because you want to be famous. Just make the kind of content you enjoy, because people will always respond to that better. But as for what comes next with me, I don't really know. I'm not ready to start reviewing anything else right now. In fact, I would just like to go back to the way I was back in 2011. Or more specifically, I'd just rather wait until I see something I like one day. And if I feel an urge to talk about it on YouTube, then I'll make a new video review. But when will that happen again? And how long will you have to wait to see some new content from yours truly? Not sure, but you can bet it won't be super long. But until then, this is the host of Retro Review TV, signing off.